Good evening. I'd like to open up the September 7th Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners meeting. And from there, we'll approach our agenda. The first thing on the agenda, line item number 2, is approve the minutes for August 3rd, 2016. And that we can do because we were all...
I'll make a motion that be accepted as printed. Yes.
I'll second. So I have a second and a second.
I call her with one change that I read.
Okay, you've taken care of that?
It's all set.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous for the August 3rd minutes. Item number 3 is actually 4th Ave, which you folks, you want to just come up to the table, folks, and introduce yourselves? I know we've met kind of informally.
Sue Chapman.
Chapman? Okay, I can explain the situation to the board.
Okay.
Their house faces 4th Ave. Their sewer goes out the backyard through private property and comes out on 3rd Ave. The property owner on 3rd Ave has had to excavate 2 or 3 times in a short period of time for a sewer blockage.
On his property or their property?
On his property. And as it stands now, there is no legal document or an easement for this sewer to be traveling down through the property of 3rd Ave. And Mike called me over there to look one day, and we looked. Their house is in a perfect situation just to go out the front corner of the house and tie into 4th Ave and eliminate this sewerage problem, because it's a great distance. If they ever had to route that line, it's a great distance from their house on 4th Ave to get down through this property. And being that there's no legal easement, that person could say, I'm putting in a swimming pool, I'm putting in a garage, and cut that line off. So I informed them the best situation was to present the case to the board. And our theory is you would waive the fee because they've been tied into sewers since what, maybe 1942, you think?
We've been here for 27 years, and it was like that when we moved.
And you think the house was built around 1942, and that's where the sewers
Back when they didn't
have gone, and no one can figure why the sewers exited and went through private property to 3rd Ave. So they came into the office, talked to Kristen, and Kristen gave them a list of approved contractors to do the sewer tie-in work. So I guess the idea is to seek approval from the board for a sewer tie-in permit for 4th Ave, your house at 4th Ave.
I think it's the right thing to do. I do have one concern, and that you'll look at it and you present it in a way so that everybody in town with some circumstance doesn't come in and says, hey, you did it for one and not the other, you know what I mean? So, you know what I'm saying? Because we can open up Pandora's box with folks saying, oh, well, you know what? I did this. I didn't want to spend the money. Now I get the town to do it.
Well, we're not doing it.
We're not doing
No.
it.
But
You know.
get rid of the fee, whatever it is.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So I think it's the right thing to do. I don't blame you. It's been 27 years, 1940s, whatever, and the way things were done back then. I just think you have to word it in a way that narrows the scope of opening it up to Pandora's box. I don't know how. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just to, I mean, it's for their own protection, because
Right.
it's, you know, they're at mercy of an abutter. And
Yeah, the
that's
sewer's all been repaired and everything.
on his yard.
On his yard.
Yeah, there was nothing wrong with ours.
There was nothing wrong with ours
Yeah.
until we had a contractor come in and dig up and break our pipe.
Oh, is that what happened?
That's what happened.
Okay, when they dug, they found
Yeah,
the pipe they didn't know existed.
Yeah, when they were digging, they found your pipe by accident.
They believed it to be a clean. I answered the call to that the day I was over at that number, the fourth, what was the address of it?
6/3 Ave.
6/3 Ave. We found that the sewage was coming up on the side of their property, and the homeowners explained to me that they had just had it repaired because previously they had called the sewer department over to check it out, and they said they checked the manholes, and they said, no, we're fine, there must be some clogging in your residence. So they fixed it by digging out, and what they did was they ended up clipping the lateral coming down, which they didn't realize it was. And they hit it thinking it was a clean out, and they just repaired it and capped it that way. So when I got the call, it was already bubbling up. Then I traced it back over, and we found out what had happened there, that was actually lateral. But the company was out of Sutton. They never even called the sewer department to have somebody go there and inspect their work or anything, so that was another issue. That's why we were caught off guard on it.
So it goes out your backyard, through the other guy's yard to the road, doesn't tie into his line at all? It's completely separate.
I don't know.
Yeah, it ties into his house line too, right, George? They meet.
His line's
they
tied, goes
meet.
down, and then his comes in on their property and ties into that.
They
same
meet on
line.
his line
Yeah.
in his yard.
Must have been an old easement, right, some way back, but
No, it's his buddy. Hey, let me just
Wow.
hook on your line. We won't have to pay the $50 fee.
Well, maybe sewers weren't on 4th Ave at that particular time,
Yeah.
and his buddy
There's
said,
a lot of
"Oh,
reasons.
just
Yeah.
go through my yard."
That company out of Sutton, you said?
Yeah.
Have we used them before?
we might have had them way back for somebody using them, but I don't recognize the name. I can't remember what was some crazy name. But,
Diggers, something.
Yeah, something like that. And they obviously didn't know the protocol for what they should be doing when they're digging somebody's property. Even call us to let us know, inspect what they're doing.
We couldn't find any record of them. We tried.
So, and there's a sewer going by the front of your house, you're just gonna come out and hook in there?
That's.
So you want to, what we're looking to do basically is just waive the connection fee?
Yes,
The
because
tie fee?
they've
Yeah, I don't see a problem.
been tied in.
They're already tied in.
Before.
right?
Yeah.
I've already
For
been paying their
dec-
fees.
Yeah,
Decades.
we've already settled on one of your approved contractors to do the work,
Right.
so.
Make a motion to waive the tie-in fee to 4th Avenue.
6:30.
3rd Avenue.
No, 4th Ave.
Number 3 on the agenda?
Seeing
What
that
what
it's
number? 7, 1,000.
Number 7.
For 7 4th Ave, seeing it's relocation of an existing line.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
uh,
You don't get to vote, sorry.
Well, you can, you
I
know,
just want the problem to be taken care
yeah,
of.
you know,
I don't want any future problems with the neighbor because he's not happy that the pipe goes through his yard.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
now's
just-
the, be independent.
It's just the right thing to do and for the future.
Yeah.
You know, and so we don't have to go through being screamed at by our neighbor again because of whatever.
Yeah.
So you can contact your contractor, and he'll contact the guys just to do a visual while they're working, so we'll know
I should
also.
have to inspect
You
it
know,
when they check it out.
then we can mark the lateral, this way here, you'll wanna mark the lateral in the book and everything, so everyone knows where your tie-in is.
And they put
for the
those
future.
back check valve things, right? So-
No, this will be a typical gravity one, come right out of the
Yeah,
house.
but they put the check valve in so the sewage can never go back into the guy's house.
They can do that, but the problem is it's never going to go back with the grade of that land. It's
It goes
Yeah.
down.
I thought that was
Well, that's what we're
requirement.
hoping for. is
No,
we
it's
don't
only
have
for
any-
commercial.
you know,
Yeah.
It wasn't.
The contractor will provide all that you need, and be contacting
yeah,
us.
commercial.
They know they have
tie-in?
experience in that field,
It
so
was years
they'll
ago.
know exactly what your pitch and
Put a
everything
lateral in?
that you're going to
I
need.
mean, put a check valve.
About the
Yeah.
line, their line, cap that.
Usually they would cap that. Yeah, that would be the problem.
Yeah, they'll cap the old pipe going out.
You know, you should look at the cost of that. I don't know if it's on the, I thought it was put in the bylaws probably 20 years ago, not bylaws, but the rules 20 years ago. But what it means, regardless of what your pitch is, if there's ever an emergency, for some reason the main gets backed up, it's gonna find a way to go, so it doesn't end up in your basement. May never happen, but if it's like $100 or something,
They'll be coming in
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
you know, 6 feet off the basement floor, right? The way we looked at it, you'll be coming in,
Yeah.
and the road's below, you know,
Yeah. Just remember,
in their situation,
people coming in.
they're not below the road like a couple of the other jobs where you have check valves that ends up in those houses.
Yeah, those old houses. and
Yeah,
that, but-
yeah. You're way above the sewer line, so you're safe there.
Yeah.
Mill Street.
Okay? Very good.
Good luck.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, item 4, as you know, John, me and the water superintendent is out recuperating from surgery. So George has offered to come in and keep us posted what's been taking place. And George has spent the summer down on Mill Street keeping an eye on the water contractor. So now, George will give us a quick water and sewer report as to...
I'll give the easy part first, which on the water side. During this project, we did have a main break at 305 Mason Road Extension, quite a substantial main break because it undermined a good part of a guy's driveway and the road. So next week, we're going to be getting together with the highway department and paving that because it needs to be professionally done. It's a good large area. It's almost like 20 by 20. okay? Of course, they always have to go in the areas that go into people's driveways, but that's what happens. That occurred as we were doing the project on Mill Street. So we had to break off from that and go over there and do that. Secondly, we had a gate replacement on Day Lane, which was due to the mill project. When we were shutting down things, that gate failed. Steve and I actually did that by ourselves because Timmy and Mike were busy doing other things in water stuff and sewer projects at the same time. And as they kept hitting a few things else, we broke off from that job and headed to bail them out of a break that they hit a pipe, and they had no tools with them because somebody took off with the truck. So I did that one on the fly. I was able to shut that down instead of shutting the whole area down. Our meter reading is done. All our final repair lists are done. Kristen's done a great job with that. We've also had a few issues come up with our chemical feed pumps. They're quite old. The company that we bought them from is out of business. We have some LMI replacements for our chlorine. I sent one out to hopefully be rebuilt because it's done such a great job. If they can't, we've got a possibility of some LMI new models coming out that our gallons per day efficiency would be good for our pressures. We have very high pressure in our stations, and this causes a problem with gallons per day. The more pressure, the less gallons per day. And we have to keep our residual at least in the 7.0 range for our pH. So we're going to be looking into that a little bit, but we'll see if he can make those work. Now the big project. Mill Street project is about 95% complete right now, today. Okay, we almost had it complete, but they ran into some scheduling issues with other men and equipment. So what we have remaining is just the top of Pine Street. We had the final two laterals, which were Chestnut Street at Mill Street and Pine Street at Mill Street by the school. We were able to get the buses through and everything and get the pipe across the street and cover it up quickly, so there was no disruption, anything with the public or with the buses. So they were pretty happy. The only issue we had was a small air pocket that seemed to travel around. We were chasing it a little bit. We got it out by Sawmill Road. Don't know how it really got into there, but it did. The school had called and said they had no water, but that was like for a second until we went right up there and they had water, and we flushed a few things and everything was fine. So that went out pretty good. I discussed all the steps of the project with Mark Devine. I told him that we would take care of all the remaining hydrants, the old hydrants. We would dismantle them, use the parts for other hydrants, get rid of them, the gates, the old gates, all that. We'd also do the cap-offs, which was supposed to be done by the construction company, but with all this overage and stuff, I think let's see if we can do a little bit of that. So we're going to take care of those in our time as we're going along with the finished products. New hydrants on the system are online, and the fire department knows about it, and they're going to be using those. The old ones are bagged, okay, and they're offline. Half of the main is now dead. The other half on Pine Street is still alive, feeding the last part of the project on Pine Street extension. That's the extension where we're going to finish off in Lupin and Charlton. So we're just going to tie into that, and for future, they can take it from there, maybe do a final loop in there. So that's how that's going. Project highlights, just so you guys know, we've had numerous sewer and water line hits due to rock. Every day you're guaranteed at least 2 or 3 hits. It's not their fault. They've got massive ledge and rock in all that Pine Street, Mill Street area. Matter of fact, we had a issue just the other day. I've had 4 hits in one day. Pulled the corp right out. One I was able to throw back on the fly. The other one I threw a dowel into it and put a rock over it because we were going to kill the main that next day, and it held. So we didn't have to do a complete saddle or anything like that. So we worked out there. We've had some issues with the tie-ins at Tri-Valley, Elder Services, and number 8 Mill Street, the mill, Stevens Linen. I've got a map that I brought in. It might help you guys have a little understanding. This is the mill itself. This map is not 100% accurate. It's quite accurate, but not all the way accurate. We found numerous other pipe running on that system. If you notice, their system is looped in around with a sprinkler line, about an 8-inch line that goes around the mill, ties in all the zones for the fire protection, sprinklers, hydrants, yard hydrants, and it has a pump house across the street. That was kind of a difficult task to try to tie into that because they have check valves. They have check valves in the inside that pump house. They used to be tied in on pond water. So they had an old pump with pond water, and they pumped out using that check valve, those check valves in the street as protection. Well, those were leaking. And Timmy and myself went through that whole mill for about 2 days, seeing what we had crossed over, seeing what we had hit, seeing how the whole system went. We decided to forego that one in the street and tie directly in above it with a new gate, not to get any disruption further up Ardlock, because we're running into money issues, time issues, and difficulty of the job. I actually had to cut a section of a cement slab off to get the pipe through to tie into it. We tied into it. We had a company come in and they put a tapping sleeve in. So they tapped it right off the 12-inch pipe, ran the line, put a gate, there's a gate already there, ran it up to that area of the sprinkler. We tied in just above that pit, getting rid of it. There's 2 check valves, fairly new in the pump house room, and they're the ones that are doing the job right now. Everything went good, which also leads me into the next one, was Tri-Valley, which was another issue. And I still don't understand how this was done. 15 years ago, they supposedly had a new sprinkler line put into their establishment. At this time, it was believed to be a 4-inch line. Make a long story short, we went there, tied into it. When the guys went across it, they crossed over what we thought was just that one line, while there was actually a 6-inch sprinkler line going into the building. And when I talked to Marilyn, the one in charge there, I was able to get into the sprinkler room because we were still hearing water running as we were tying into it. I said, this doesn't sound right. And I found out that they were actually tied into the 4-inch domestic to the building. So all these years, Tri-Valley thought they were tied into separately because they're a separate entity. They were actually still tied into that mill sprinkler line. Okay, and the only reason we found that out is because when we were able to shut it right off. And if it kept running, we know we were tied into our main because we had shut the sprinkler to do the Ardlock, to do that sprinkler pump room tie-in. So I had them tap that too on the same day. Had crews both at Ardlock and at Tri-Valley tying both ends in. We actually had to help them because it was a rush to get through the day because people were getting they had an issue with people working in the building without sprinkler protection. I assured her we were able to get that done around 3 or 4 hours. We were able to run a pipe and a PIV all down at a certain angle, and almost at the building we tied it in. That's how steep the angle was because our main is over by the building now. We're running all on the sidewalk, so we're right in front of the building. So they were very happy there. I couldn't explain how this got missed by their contractor. He's out of business apparently, and I couldn't really get many answers. But whatever had to be done, it had to be done. There was no way out of it. Even if we tied in before the PIV, there was no way to do it. It had to be all reconstructed because of the angle we were at. So it worked out good. We didn't even set off a fire alarm the whole time, the whole day, either mill. So they were very happy with that. So those are all tied in. Just for a couple little quick things. In one day at the mill, at Mill Street at Ardlock, they hit a 8-inch main, sliced it right up. Within the next 10 minutes, they hit a 6-inch, and then within the next 30 minutes, 35 minutes, they hit a 2-inch. So as I was getting in the truck to start to try to get things back energized, I get the people pointing into another spray, and sure enough, they hit another line. Nobody even knew it was there, how it was angled, the trouble we've been having there with how these pipes are running. Some of this is why there's some overage. Okay, even the tie-ins to Mill Street, we had to find the pipe because nobody has good. That gives you a good idea, but that doesn't give you dimensions. So you don't understand fully how it's going to go, how you're going to tie into it. But we did find it, we did tie into it, so that's all been looped in. So the system is complete right now, and it's operating almost to the point now where we have just that one extension that's still on the old main, and we're going to be shutting that off tomorrow. And that'll be at Pine and Oxford Ave, that gate there. That's still feeding that area, just for those houses up on the extension. So right now, the project is just a matter of tying up some loose ends with paving. I've been in contact with the town administrator. He's aware of every step we've been taking. I've sat with him about 2 or 3 times already to keep him updated of what's going on, where we're at. I'll give him a final report as we finish off this. I've also been in contact with Danny from the highway superintendent, and he's going to be doing a final check of the roads, because right now the roads are going to be just done for the winter time, get everything settled. They'll come back, do all the sidewalks, do what has to be paved, and blend everything in properly. No point in doing it now because things are going to get settled up. I did explain that if there is a problem down the line, even close to winter, we have to go out and cold patch something or get it keep level. We'll be doing that because there's no way out of that. You have to maintain your roads. So Danny will probably be meeting with me tomorrow, and we'll be going over that part of it. The other thing was the town administrator did mention about the insurance claims on those rain incidents, the flood incidents. I believe there's 2 of them. He just wants to make sure before any final payments are made that that's all dealt with. I did talk to Mark Devine numerous times about the whole, giving him ideas on the project and then what we're doing. And he did specify too that he'll be having a conversation with myself, Debbie Rice, who's the project manager for Borges, and Mark Devine himself. We'll have him on some kind of speakerphone to go over a bunch of this stuff and make sure everything's up to stuff, including any parts, outstanding balances, outstanding things that have to be done whatsoever. So we'll be doing that hopefully Friday. Let's see, we are going to be, also, you guys are all set with the cost over for the warrants, if you agree with that. I think they're
I got a question on that, George, for the
Yep.
warrant. He's got ledge, 98,000, then no limits, 84. Gravel limits, 9,000 and change, no limits. And he's got extras still to discuss, $30,000. That comes up to about $140,000. I know request number 2 is a payment. So my question is, for the warrant, what are you actually asking for? We said
I would say go on the high, I'd say go with the 200 on the high side.
with
I think
200.
they're going to be well below that. We still have things to work out, including what we may be doing. There's just going to be some savings. I mean, it won't be significant compared to 200,000, but it'll be something. You know,
But
you're maybe
it's
talking
not,
thousands.
it's not 290,000.
No, I would go
Request
with
number 2 is the $290,000 payment.
Yeah, I would go with the 2. And I think we'd be safe with the 2. There's still also with parts that we bought that they have purchased some too, and we, according to the contract, there are some things we supply like
Yeah.
sewer parts if they
Yeah.
break, things like that.
Okay.
So a lot of it's just going over some things as far as some
So-
real vision.
So we're over by how much, I'm sorry?
We're over about, I think it was in the 140 figure.
Right now I'm around 140, if you look at it, Scott.
Give or take. And it's
See, the ledge is they bid 0 for ledge, then they could
Yeah.
negotiate afterwards. And because of taking the ledge out and some huge boulders, they ended up buying more gravel to fill in the boulders.
And how are we paying for that? I missed it. We're going back to town meeting or
it would be going back to town meeting for approval for the retained earnings to take it out, take extra.
take it out of retained earnings? Yeah.
When we're talking rocks the size of cars.
Yeah, no, I understand
Yeah.
that.
Go
I was
ahead.
more concerned with the funding and using retained earning and building that back up.
We don't know the full final figure. We still have a lot to work out, and Mark has to get involved and work some things out. He has some things specified in the contract. I wasn't involved in the contract or the pre-construction meeting, but he has to go over this with Debbie, myself, Chris. We all have to be on the loop to see exactly who's what, who did what. We may not get the answers on everything. I mean, there was thousands of parts, thousands of running here, get this, get that. At the time you need the parts, it's hard to determine. You write it down, but it's hard to, you could be missing something. We're doing the best we can to keep everything as trackable as possible. I think we're pretty good right now. So we'll have a better figure, but at least it plays it safe. At least we know we're
Now, on the suicide parts you used,
according to the contract, the sewer parts are provided by us. Sometimes they provided them if we didn't have them, but we had a lot of them. So, and I kept.
are they going to reimburse the sewer department for them?
That I can't say about the contract and how he has that listed on the contract. We will reimburse, get the parts back, but I don't. A lot of them is our parts, not the sewer parts. We've only used a few of the sewer parts on the sewer side. We've had those parts in stock, and we replenish ours for ourselves. We've only used a couple. And matter of fact, anytime we have parts on hand for us, if the sewer department, if we have to use it for the sewer, we'll be digging for the sewer. We'll use our parts anyway. So it's kind of a combined thing.
So
We have to keep it, account for it.
Yeah. Well, they have their own set parts that they use and store in their facility, so we cap just the ones that we replenish our parts. But if there's an emergency and they need some, we have it. Of course, we'll use
Yeah,
it.
but even between water and sewer, you have
We still have to keep track
We
between
could,
water and
everything
sewer.
is done separately through. Their purchase orders, vouchers go with sewer. Ours go with water. So I mean, we replenish our stockpile.
when either water or sewer borrow from the other, how do you replenish that?
We'll replenish if it's their parts that were used. They'll get replenished on their side if it's for their project. If it's our project, if we hit something on the water side, which is why we carry parts, we'll replenish it on our side. So we try
In
to.
other
keep
words,
it-
you cut a PO from whoever's responsible.
Yeah,
for the bill.
when they order the parts that day, it'll go into the sewer account or go into the water
Yeah.
account or whatever. Or if it's somehow the water takes it, we'll give it back. And sewer say, hey,
So if sewer borrows parts from you,
Yeah,
they'll
we'll
cut a
refund.
purchase order
Yes.
and give you the
Yeah.
parts they're going to come
Yeah.
in. Just
Yeah.
as, okay.
Some, and it's not always a thing that's commonly happens. If we do a project or a dig, we're always using our stuff anyway. We have mostly more parts than they do on their side, so we have shelffuls of stuff, so we're able to use them right away. But they did go through a lot of sticks of about 6-inch, 4-inch, an 8-inch. I had to keep going back running. I was almost getting them daily. And it's not their fault. There's just so much rock in there. They were just puncturing everything. And some of these lines, you're crossing gas, you're getting into the sewer, you're getting into the water, you're getting the old water, you're getting, it was quite a challenge for them, And I got to give them credit. They're a very good company. They did an excellent job. They did everything I requested of them. The only problem I had with them is they swapped crews midstream. And I believe if you're going to start a crew going in there, they should at least follow most of the crew because they know what they've already crossed. They know what to look out for. These guys had no idea. I had to come by and explain almost every bit of the thing with them and how we were doing it and this and that. They were missing equipment at times because it was going to other jobs. Otherwise, they were doing a great job.
Are you keeping track of that and what the impact was? Because if they try to hit you for extra hours, or
everything is.
Wait a minute, you were running that expert efficiency. Now you're not, and your guys, it took an extra day or two because you guys didn't have, they weren't familiar with the job.
No,
learning curve.
It didn't really affect that much at all. And what we did, we asked more of them to work extra long hours to get things done. So it was almost anything we contributed to them was almost a wash. I mean, it was.
What was the completion date supposed to be?
It was 29th.
Yeah, the school was starting the 30th.
I know there was a delay and all that.
29th, 30th.
Yeah. And there was a delay, but like I said, as soon as they got going, they worked pretty quickly. They had their main crew was going pretty fast, and then we had 2 crews digging for all the services at a time. And this is how we've almost been up to this point, 2 crews going at it. So they've made good progress.
Well, hopefully they don't come back with hey, this is beyond the contract, and you owe me this because of this, this, and this. But you should really keep, and I don't know, what you have, George, but you should keep your notes and stuff so that you can rebut that.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I have all the.
And you don't want to get into that, but sometimes you end up in that regardless.
Yeah, I have all that information as far as what we've done or whatever, And like I said, we try to help. We need to help sometimes to keep them going along, keep our schedules, make sure we get the buildings already activated for sprinklers and that. And that was our biggest thing. But they've been very, very good about taking care of business that we need to have taken care of. So I'm pretty pleased about that. And Debbie and I will be going over this with Mark regarding all these various things because they all come into play as we discuss all these aspects, parts, laborers, things like that. So I'm pretty confident we can get pretty close to a fair resolution. Okay. So the other thing is I want to say is that I want to commend Timmy and Steve and Kristen for all their help. It was a monumental task to do this main project. I got to tell you, it was not easy. And we were short-handed as it was, 2 guys. And they were just fantastic, working together, breaking off, going to one job, running to another job, back and forth, assisting me with, we spend many times, all of us going in there, checking things out, trying to, testing this, doing that, trying to figure out what the best way to go about it was. And apparently it paid off because I haven't heard any complaints yet, but or anybody's out of water, at least right now. But it was a monumental task. It's not one I'd rather repeat again. It was quite an undertaking. They did a fantastic job, all of them. They worked good together. There's been no problems. It's the best thing you can ask for. On a side note, Al Baker's wife, Cindy, who Al Baker worked for us for 24 years, she died of cancer last week. They're having a service for her on Friday, and I'd like the water department to be there to represent us for about an hour or so in St. Joseph's, I think it is. Yeah. So we're going to take a truck with us in case it's an emergency, but just to let the board know.
George, where is shirt with sleeves?
Okay. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. On the sewer side,
Can I
go ahead.
On that project one?
Yes.
Could we, you said that, it's not going to be like the sidewalks and all that up to par till the spring, right?
It's going to be acceptable to the highway superintendent, so that he's happy with the jobs. The only reason why is to say is for plowing and that kind of, we don't want any damage of the plows or have any, but on the sidewalk end, we have a 4-foot sidewalk going down. Just the sides of the edges have some gravel because of the extent of the rocks, that came out. So that's not a big bother as long as they have a sidewalk to use and travel.
I'm just thinking if we come up with like a flyer, you could just have somebody run around to the houses saying, hey, this isn't the way we're going to leave it. We're going to be back in the spring.
Yeah, I've already communicated with almost every, because they come out and we've tied into services, so I've made communication with them. So they're all aware, especially the girls on the corner there, our favorite twins there. That's primarily where that area is in that stretch there. So they're all aware of it. And like I said, they call call us or in or whatever and say, hey, what's going to happen here? We give them the exact scenario what we're going to end up doing. And if Danny's not happy with something, then we're going to make sure we will even take care of some of it if we have extra when we're doing our own paid jobs and stuff. We'll be applying it at those areas just to extend them out there. So I think we're covered pretty good there.
I can always have Debbie put something on our
Yeah.
the water's webpage, just saying, hey, in the spring those will be repaved or something.
Yes, because there are people that are
So,
commenting
yeah.
about the condition of the road.
Yeah.
It's to be expected, but
Yeah.
everybody wants everything perfect immediately. It's just not going to happen.
Any other questions on the project? Okay. I have a limited on the sewer because the information I requested was delivered to one of your board members, so I don't know why, but he was not here right now. He has all that information, but I can tell you I did have them jet Alton Drive. Timmy assisted Mike in jetting Alton Drive. There've been some issues with the Tanyard Road Station, the wet wells, the alarm system. The floor has been in there working on that. There's been a lot of that kind of thing going
Yeah,
on.
Mike had called me today
Yeah, so you're aware of what's going on with that.
about the pump stations and
Yep. So,
and the jetting.
yep. So that's been handling so far. So I think I'm good.
Thank you very much, Judge.
Thanks, Judge.
Appreciate your help.
No problem.
Okay, we'll move on to item 5, discuss the vote, if any to be needed, to add money for this job at the town fall warrant. Judge kind of briefed us on it, and it looks like the number you'd be asking for then is about $200,000 to cover any unexpected overages,
Yeah.
which are basically related to ledge and gravel to fill the holes in.
Yes.
Sounds reasonable to me.
So I don't know if we need I don't think we need a motion for that, do we?
Yeah, you definitely.
The article.
Okay.
I have to write the article.
You want
The warrant closes on the 16th.
16?
Make a motion, we put an article on the warrant for sewer overages on the Mill Street project. Water road, sorry,
For $200,000?
$200,000. Up to $200,000.
To be taken from the chain gangs.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, this is another issue coming up. The Corbin Road well report. I don't know if each of you
We
has
have
a
copies of it.
copy.
That's a,
That goes back to 1997. I don't think any of us were involved with anything then. Kristen, could you kind of brief us on that? The newspapers are looking for some
Yeah, the
type of
Worcester Telegram.
update.
The Worcester Telegram called me and asked me for a copy of the letter that Dan O'Connor had written to the Board of Health a couple months ago, back in March, just saying that we weren't going to use that well because they had so much requests asking. And then she asked me for this report. So I went to Greg because they had already sent out emails saying the press is going to start to call. So I addressed it with him, and he said, you can release the letter from Dan because it was at a meeting, and release that to her. And he said, why don't you just have your board vote on the survey results? So he just thought that
It's public it's
Public
yeah, that's what he
information.
thought,
It's
but he
not
just
what
wanted
we-
you to be able to vote.
And if it's the Telegram, they're not bashful about taking action if you know.
Yeah.
There's no reason,
Nothing
there's
to
nothing to hide, there's nothing to hide in this
Public
report.
knowledge then.
Yeah, Greg just asked me to bring it
I've read it a
before
bunch
you
of
to vote
times.
on it.
How big is the report?
So it's
2 pages.
Well, actually, there's detailed, data that's attached to it.
Yes,
I
there's
just didn't
pages of
copy all
data.
of it. There's about another 10 pages of data, but what the results are is in that, the first page is, you know, Scott, right here.
My copy.
It says Earth Tech on the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah,
Those were
you
the
might
engineers
have-
that town was using at the time?
Yeah, that I got it.
Huh?
I've read it a few times and I actually even looked at some of the data. It didn't mean a lot to me, but no reason not to release it.
I mean, yeah, it's,
And we said, most of it was
That's,
already written in
of
the
course,
letter.
there's whatever the per page fee is for providing them. Other than that, we need to make a motion to do
I
that.
think we should bring it up for a vote.
I'll move that we,
We need to, but
I don't think because it's public information.
yeah.
I mean, we have to, I mean,
If they call Kristen, you have permission to hand it over then.
just,
Call the
you know,
office.
whatever the per page fee is?
And you just give a copy, he probably has it already, but copy to Greg, to tell him this is what we're giving him.
Yeah.
We don't have a town website that has all these documents that people can just public
Not
access.
yet. They've talked about doing something like that. To
People
provide,
just come in and grab and go and get what you want.
providing that and old tapes and things like that.
Geez, Tommy, is this 87 or 97?
97.
We were sewer commissioners, right? That's how old you are.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Number 7, other business before the board. Does anyone have any other business?
I am just, I've had a couple people that have asked me, and I'm kind of personally surprised myself that with all of the talk of water restrictions and everything else, Dudley hasn't had to do anything other than what we've been doing right along.
No, not at this time. Our static levels are good. Our pumps have a recharge capacity that are within our requirements, and we're not into that situation yet. We have had some a little bit more normal pumping because of the college and because of what we're doing out there in Flushing, but we're holding our own right now. And I have had no word from DEP if any standards come down as far as changing that scenario. We're under a voluntary restriction through DEP for everyone, and that's we're still
And we
following
have
that
been for
quite a while.
number of years.
Yes.
That posted in May, it gets
Yeah.
posted on the website.
And we keep monitoring it. We keep a close tab. And I was talking about Kristen that the other day to make sure that nothing else comes down from them saying that we're forced to or whatever.
The Corbin Road and all this stuff and all this, I'm not up to date on all the aspects of it, but it's very wet over there, right? The town may buy the land, right? It's probably-
the town has decided not
Oh,
to
they have,
exercise
okay.
the right of first.
I was gonna say, if the town bought it, other towns need water, and that water's not very good, right?
It was tested back then. They had parts of radon in it.
But would it be, and maybe be an opportunity to take that water, sell it to these towns when they're in trouble, and if you're putting it on, I don't know what you would use it, lawns, or whatever, where it can't hurt anybody, you may be able to sell it. That'd be an opportunity.
I don't think,
It's unfortunately it's
Just
not
a
quite
thought.
that easy.
Just a thought.
because these were bedrock wells, which are deep,
wells.
which requires a lot more regulation.
Contamination could travel for hundreds of miles.
That gasoline problem
really?
over in Charlton
Can
could,
up in there?
could be in
All right.
Dudley, and
That's
deep
why-
wells like that.
Our pump stations down here along the, part of the French River aquifer, they're only down 60 feet in the ground in a huge bed of gravel.
Yeah.
So they're constantly being washed and cleansed.
Yeah.
This is
The filter.
700 feet down in ledge.
Whatever in there's in there.
It's, like I say, exactly, Route 20 could be the fume, the gasoline, etc. Could be
be there,
traveling
that could be
every
there.
Chemicals from 1880.
Yeah.
If it pulls, if it gets into the right,
Yeah.
right
Right.
fraction.
Right vein and it
could
travels.
travel.
This well is only 380 feet.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot deeper than your shallow.
Yeah, they intended to go 700
shallow
feet,
gravel
wasn't it?
packed wells,
It's
yeah.
supposed to go 7.
My well's like 380 feet on my house.
Yeah, most residentials are that. Some areas.
Most
ours
residentials
are
are
on the
deep.
65-foot range for our gravel pack wells.
Yeah.
So there's the difference there.
All right.
The other thing I have, then I'd like to bring up on the other business. George has been kind of like taking the brunt of everything since John's been out. He's in contact with Kristen, commissioners, the town hall, et cetera, working with the health. I know they're all in the same union, but I'm just trying to think, we need someone, to point everyone in the right direction, to be the advocate, to say, here's the work order for the day. Do we have that right to give George the authority, not to crack a whip, but have even through the office, the daily log of work to be done? Something on that
He's a
idea?
senior person on the department.
When you're the senior man on the water department with the licenses, but you're not the sewer department. But I know we still want a jetting program, a maintenance program, because the work has come to an end over here, basically. We're caught up now. And I just think we need someone, if the phone call comes into the office, to have Kristen to have the right judge, can you go to this
Like a
house?
group leader or something.
Yeah,
or
something like that,
something. I think we have to look at, I think it's a great idea, and I also think we owe you, thanks and there's a way to show that thanks without offending any union rules, or to have it done without offending. I don't understand all the union rules, so I think it's a great idea if we can do it without.
Yeah, I do.
Water with
You know,
personnel board,
Yeah.
union, and
like I say, it's just a voice of authority, and some discipline. Let's go. We're doing this today.
I have no problem.
I know that from my aspect, from the post office thing, we have carriers that'll step up to be bosses part-time.
Mhm.
So one day they're carrying, next day they're bosses, and they're paid accordingly. Maybe we could,
We can't do anything financially. We've been down that road before.
I know that.
Try to give
I
a
know
guy a
that.
stipend, and
no, I
that didn't work.
But if we could, and it might have to wait until the next contract, get something written in that we can.
Who's the head of the union for these guys? Can we talk to them?
Somebody from the highway.
Dave Baxter is our
Baxter.
representative. It maybe you could just put it as an acting something. It really probably doesn't
Exactly,
mean too
acting.
much as far as I can't discipline.
Can't
Except
discipline.
I can report to the board something,
Yeah.
and they can take action. But I can supervise is all I can do. Which is, I can run the day-to-day of both departments just to say what we're doing today.
Yeah.
And if there's a problem or I get into some situation that I can't discipline over, then that goes to the board. I can write it down, report it to you. Simple as that.
That's
about
fine.
it.
About how much longer is John going to be out for?
Last time when I talked to him, it was November, and that's just I get started as PT.
So I think that could
It's
stretch
gonna be a
into
while.
December.
Yeah, so I just don't want to get into conflicts with the sewer.
With the people.
I mean, right now, I send Timmy over there. He's primarily holds the reins a little bit on the sewer as far as helping them and that. But I don't want to. Certain things John requested he wanted done, and we're trying to meet those right now, even now. And some of it hasn't really been done to what should have been done. But I
Who's
rather.
on the sewer, like, what's the segregation right now?
What,
You got water guys, you got sewer guys, right?
Yeah, one sewer guy.
There's one sewer.
there's two sewer guys, but one's out
It's out
on.
on a workers' comp claim.
Is it called?
So we
Yeah,
don't,
it happened on
their
the side.
superintendent is retired, we have one guy down, and now John's down. So it's myself, Tim, Steve, and Mike on the sewer, that's all we have.
And the guys have done a great job at cross-training.
Yeah.
Helping out one another, weekend duties, etc.
Mike can't do, Mike can only do limited water work, he can't do,
Yeah. Chemical.
because we have the licenses, but we can do everything on the sewer side. Because they don't require any licenses, and we even have our treatment licenses and that, so
So
it's not.
it's gone well in that respect.
Shot of penicillin. Yeah, do you see any problem with that? I guess.
No, I mean, it's been working that way now, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I think it should just be official that the board gives George the authority to oversee.
Acting superintendent.
Acting, I don't even know if we can go that deep to say acting superintendent, but at least,
Well, it is.
if you want to, coin it that way, that's fine.
Acting superintendent, crew chief, whatever.
Yeah.
Supervisor.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint George acting superintendent of water and sewer up to the point that
John returns.
John returns.
Very good.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It's official.
Let's wait here.
We'll find a way to.
Someone's at the other end of the phone,
Just as long as it's not the wrong end, then I won't accept responsibility.
And as for discipline, you shouldn't be put in that situation.
No, I already know that,
no.
that reports to the board if there's any issues with that.
So maybe what we need
That's
is with that is if a situation occurs, what's the protocol? Is it called Jay?
Contact Jay, and Jay
Yeah,
can
and
contact
contact
us.
the rest of the board. Kristen, get an email out to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah, I guess if something arises.
We can pull a meeting together. in
Yep.
48
Emergency
hours.
arises, sure.
Actually, emergency, I think we
Yeah.
can do even quicker, but
Kristen notifies all of us.
whatever the posting.
I try to keep the guys that I have them, like, where phone numbers I have, Jay, I can at least call them quick, because he's around locally a lot, say, hey, we got this going, we're up to this, so if there's an issue, I usually have no problem finding somebody on the board to talk to.
She has all our numbers, so.
Yeah.
The only thing I kept was about the voucher for the board just for next week.
Oh.
So like Monday, Tuesday, I'll have them run around
Yeah,
and get
once you
signatures
clarify
together.
those numbers.
Put it out there and I'll,
Friday is the day we're going to be discussing. I hope we get all that in. It's a lot of material again. We may be 2 days of discussion, but Like I said, I'm trying to get some projects finished off too, so we're juggling that to try to get to meet with them. I want at least, I need Mark to meet with Debbie on either by phone or whatever, because a lot of the information in the contract and stuff is Mark has it. I don't have purview to that, so I don't know what was done way back in the contract. So we can discuss it, and they can go over some things, and I can come in with my sorts of stuff and review it all with her too. So.
I'll be out of town Tuesday and Wednesday next week. But, other than that,
Oh, we were having a party those days. Too, right?
have it. I'll be down the Cape.
I'll miss it again.
No partying
Move
for
the
you.
party.
Gotta lose 11 pounds.
Long sleeve
No
shirt.
partying.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to do your 11 pounds too good going on the cake.
long sleeve shirts and blouse pants.
And Jay, I'll just show you, I'll send out the warrant, when I write up the
Yeah,
warrant,
yeah,
I'll send it
yeah.
out so everyone can just look at it.
Get a look at it and get it to what? To Deb?
That's the only thing
Yeah.
warrant we need, right?
It's gonna look great.
Yeah, is there anything else that we need to address as far as the warrant article spending? I don't think, there's nothing,
There's no,
nothing on the
there's no
radar.
issues with Webster on the sewer side or anything?
Things have been very
The
good.
Webster numbers are still holding. In fact, we just,
77K?
yeah, that was a 2-month payment.
Wow.
I got a quick question. Are we using Mark as our engineer for Webster still, or are we still using, what's his name? Okay, so Mark is up. I can always ask Mark if he has anything up there.
We've done some research like on the numbers.
Yeah.
Well, Louis informed us before Louis left. We have a big deal coming up with the infiltration issue that's being forced by the DEP.
Yeah.
So we're trying to come up with an infiltration plan. Otherwise, we'll be fined in the near future. How we're going to curb the infiltration, And Louis said some of the stuff was already enforced, already in place. Some of the work the sewer guys are already doing. What's the I&I, infiltration and inflow,
Yeah.
which is being mandated by.
Crack in the pipe and the
Yeah.
rainwater.
We
I
also
don't know
check
why
the
that-
siphons and things in our.
It's just
our
gonna
to make
dilute
sure
it.
it's clean.
Right?
But what it does is it puts extra strain on the system.
Do we want to Mark really isn't up to speed with the sewer aspect of it. I know he's gotten the numbers, but
Do we? What happened to the other firm? Paul Brinkman.
Paul, do we want to keep Paul?
That's an issue that's going to have to come up without a doubt, engineering-wise.
I
Which
will-
direction are we headed?
Yeah, I would say this for Paul. My 15 years on sewer, Paul was instrumental in not only the technical aspects of it, but the contractual aspects of agreements and what they meant, and what other towns were doing, and he had some really good insight. And he also technically, everything you felt in your gut that was going on in that agreement that needed to be fixed, he technically, basically proved it technically and articulated it technically and contractually via his experience. So I haven't been involved in 4 or 5 years, but I was always impressed with he saved this town. Him teaming up with us saved us a lot of money.
I know this much, once the water and sewer boards were combined, we went out of our way, certified mail, emails, etc., always wanting to be in touch with the town of Webster. Please keep us posted. And in most cases, they were ignored.
It's been like that.
It's been like that.
Oh, they ignore us?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean, they
been like
were
that for
ignored.
years.
Because we'd question something. We want, because we always had that in the back of our head. Are we going to get hit with a $500,000 bill?
Yeah.
We always want to be prepared.
It's called, you're talking about infiltration?
Yeah.
They used to have negative infiltration.
Oh,
How does that happen?
Yeah.
We were in technical, so they told us it happens, and Paul Brinkman said, no, it doesn't.
It's that good, huh?
You're like,
They are.
if it looks like it,
Would be
it's
a leak.
smoky. Yeah.
They are in the process of going through a new administrator over there too, right?
Yeah.
There's
So
no
we don't know what's going to happen. Somebody else on board.
I think we've always kind of felt if it happens, we'll face it then.
Yeah, I think too that the difference from the old agreements and the new one is that you have standard operating procedures in place that are reviewed every year. And that one was another thing that Paul did very well, is that he would take the numbers and sit down with their counterpart and review them. And they talked, environmental engineer to environmental engineer,
Yeah.
And there was no, you couldn't snow it.
Yeah.
They
Black and
both were
white.
intimately involved with this stuff, And that was because we didn't have to get involved in that.
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
It's not an environmental engineer talking to an electronics technician or
Yeah.
plumber,
I-
or mailman.
Or a short finance guy with an attitude.
I know we have worked with them, we've looked at numbers, and we feel right now everything is on board.
Yeah.
You know,
With their flows.
with the flows
But we
and the
have-
pricing. The flows are, you know, what we're being charged for, you know, gallonage per day or whatever they are.
Get GSS,
Yeah.
suspended
Yeah.
solids, bio-oxygen.
But yes, I think on both engineering departments, we're gonna have to come up with a solution soon. You
Yeah.
know, that'll be a meeting, I think, entirely on that topic. You know.
Yeah.
I want to consider kicking that can next month.
I think the relationship has been better though since.
They haven't, I don't want to say bothered us, but they haven't informed us of anything.
Mhm.
I think they're over their heads over there, and
Yeah.
they're
But it
not
was-
looking at
Hopefully
it.
not in sewage.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I just don't want to get hit down the road.
Well, that's what we all said. We tried. We did our best as far as being a good neighbor.
I think
But-
there's something in the the contract was signed in 86, and then we redid it in 2006-ish, 2005, somewhere, or maybe 2000, I don't know what it was. But there was verbiage in there of when you had to be informed of those issues, and it couldn't be what was happening was at the end of the year, all of a sudden you get hit with this load of information. All their numbers came right into their budget. They were over budget. Miraculously at the end of the year, everything came within their budget, and the overages belonged to us. And then when you looked into it deeper, you saw the flaws in the underlying data, and so we could see the flaws in the data, and we had all the trends. We had all the, we did our analysis, but Paul took our analysis and then, like I said, technically sat down and said, no, rewrote the agreement, and I think if we, and I don't have a latest copy, if you can find that, maybe, and email it or get me a copy, but there's information in there that says, basically, you can't do that anymore. Anything you do, if you're going to spend money, we have to be part of that. We have to approve it. If you're going to spend $20 million over there, we have to approve it before we get stuck with
In
the
the
capital
last
expense.
10 years, they've done 3 or 4 construction jobs over there. Large
Yeah,
jobs.
wasn't there supposed to be some money that would be owed for this
That's-
rehab of their facility?
Right.
I'm kind of waiting for that.
Yeah,
That's
but
actually-
That's supposed to be coming
that's
down
on the,
the pipe.
that's on the town, though. Any
Yeah.
capital
That's on the
improvement is on
town,
the
right?
town.
But we haven't heard anything,
Town
Yeah.
owns everything.
right?
Yeah, I like the
To
town's
our
right.
knowledge.
And see, that stuff is all supposed to be transparent and upfront, and we're supposed to be part of that process as a team.
Do you think we ought to be proactive and start it on our side instead of?
Well, maybe I think in a nice way, saying, hey, I know you guys are buried, but I really think we need to sit down so we have a better understanding
Do a
of
tour.
what's going on. Yeah.
I don't even know who the contact person is.
It used to be, well, that's when we used to send Paul over to sit with their environmental engineer, Paul would deal with our side, they'd deal with their side, they'd meet in the middle, he'd come back and explain it to us.
Chemist did one of the couple of workers.
Yeah, we get monthly.
Yeah, but they used to have
Get monthly flow
a Paul
reports.
Brickman,
Yeah,
or
they had a guy, yeah.
who would sit down with our guy, and they would deal with, watch the guy would deal with the administrator over there and the sewer guys, and they would, Paul would deal with us, they would talk a bit, come back, okay, this is what we looked at, these were the pros, these were the cons, this is how we mitigated it, here's the final resolution, here's where we are. And that's where I think it was invaluable, because it kept all of us out of it,
Yeah.
and the
They speak a different language.
and but even passion, you're like, again, I used to be much more passionate as a younger man. It would get my goat when I didn't like what I saw. So it takes that whole equation, that whole dynamic out of the equation.
I think we ought to all look into it.
He's probably the most, he knows us, he knows them, and he's very experienced. So, and again, I don't know, maybe you know Mark Devine, but I don't know him that well. I don't, it's nothing against him. Just telling you what I know about Paul.
Well, when do you think you would want to look into it?
I think if we just contact Paul and say, look, can you contact your counterpart over there and start initiating a tour? At least it shows, even if it comes down 5 years down the road, we go to court over back, whatever, we're still trying to do it.
When was the last time it was trued up? Last 2 years?
2 years ago?
No,
3 years ago?
Well, let's put that on the agenda then for next month.
Yeah.
right? We can, that'll be a agenda item
Yeah.
for next month's meeting
Yeah.
to deal with what's going on.
And we want to be proactive and staying on top of that and not, oh boy,
Okay,
wait.
so that'll be on the agenda for next month then,
4 years,
Kristen,
then-
right?
Then you're in the minutia,
Yeah, well,
you know.
we've always felt, how big is this hammer coming down?
Yeah.
But on the flip side, we said, well, we're still gonna keep going here, and if we get hit with a big bill, then we have to negotiate it. I can't give you $300,000 tomorrow,
Yeah.
you know?
And they've been pretty good. I think if we look at, again, pull the new standard operating procedure that was developed as a result of all the other bad operating procedures.
Actually, I was on the board the last two of through True, I think turned out to be, I think we paid them $5,000.
Yeah.
5,600. Yeah.
But that goes back to like fiscal 12 or something like
That's,
that. or
yeah,
even beyond
that is
right?
a few years ago now.
Yeah, now we're at
So you wanna-
17.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Been
wanna-
a while.
Is there still a contingency in the sewer budget? Do you still put like a line item for just in case? So when you figure out your rates?
We had 250 in the retained earnings.
It's in.
We spent some.
We spent some on upgrades, pumps and upgrades because of the condition. Well, we will know shortly because the auditors have been here this summer.
Yeah.
That's-
Right.
We should have that
Later
auditor's
this month.
report soon.
What about the issue with the ending of phase 1 and phase 2 betterments? That when it comes to its depth, the sewer uses a third in the middle of the road. So the guy who lives here pays a third, guy on the other side pays a third, sewer users pay the third in the middle. And that 20-year bond should be ending. And we need to know, over the years, there should have been money sitting there. You know what I mean? That people paid in and that sewer users are paying in towards it. It's part of your budget. So at the end of the thing, okay, here you go. And then what you have is you look at, you do the calculation for your rates and you say, oh, we don't have that bond anymore. Do we put it in retained earnings? Do we give rate relief? Where do we go with
Where
this?
would that information be?
That's all. If you give me a copy of the budget, I'll take a look at it. That would
Would be a line item on the sewer budget?
There's a line item on the sewer budget to pay back the, it should say like phase 1, phase 2 bond payments.
Yeah, we make payment, I'm just making payment for it,
Yeah.
so.
That's,
I should probably have a copy of the.
that was like
contract.
95, 96, 97, so that's going to be coming to an end.
Those were like up Mason Road,
It was at, June,
Lakeview.
Mason Road and JB Ave.
Yeah, that neighborhood.
Lakeview Sawmill.
Yeah, okay, all right, I see.
All that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been
It's been 20 years.
at least 20 years. My father,
Yeah.
I remember when he got tied in.
Yeah, and remember, we told people,
That's a long
add
time.
more people to the sewer system, you're gonna bring your average fixed cost down, which you did. But now that chunk is going away, and I think the chunk of the budget is the whole amount, so if it's $10 needs to be paid, the sewer users pay a third, the betterments pay 2/3.
Oh.
So the money, it's not coming out of the revenue stream of your rates, it's coming out of the other revenue stream. But the accountant and the treasurer's office somebody should be keeping track of that, and letting you know, hey, this much money is sitting there towards that.
I want to say that's the assessor's office.
Yeah, there has to be a true up at the end of that, I guess.
I think the assessor's office
Yeah,
has the betterments.
Yeah, the assessors office is the best.
And then
I seem to remember talking
But
to Lisa about that years ago.
Rich gives me the wire transfer thing to put the voucher
Yeah.
in for the phase 1 payout.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's a phase 2 and 3, I think,
Yeah.
1, 2, but that's smaller.
Yeah. Lakeview.
But what happens with that is now your budget, I don't know what the budget is now, maybe it's $1 million or 1.2 million or something. It comes down by that amount. So your rates technically can come down, you can take them down some, or you can say, you know what, the pumps are 20 years old now, or whatever it might be. Let's decrease the rates, but let's leave a little in there, so we have the free cash available
So we
to pay
start-
for a truck.
start building
Whatever.
That's especially when we found out once John started getting in it with the guys, old pumps,
Yeah.
overtime killing us. We, on phone calls from alarms, so we've done some alarm work, we've done some pump upgrades, things of that nature. In other words, if we're saving Louis' salary
Yeah.
and we're still within budget, let's take Louis' salary and buy pumps and
Yeah.
alarms and
Capital,
upgrades,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because we had one job, we were getting a water bill, $800 per quarter, because the Patterson Ave pumps, they use water pressure, and all it was doing was recycling and recycling and recycling, and that was fixed,
Well,
you know?
yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'll get you all that information.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Greg.